Hi, today I'm going to talk to you about microtonal trombone. Don't get freaked out. I know there's a lot of math and everything. If you look on the internet and see wiki and put microtones in there, and you're going to be just like flooded with a bunch of math and stuff. Microtones have been around for a long time, since Pythagorean times, since ancient Greek talked about microtones. What's a microtone? Well, actually, microtones are just describing tones that are less than the Western 12-tone scale. Dividing up the 12-tone scale into smaller divisions. Now, you say, what the hell, what do I need that for? Well, especially if you're a jazz player, what's the fundamentals? Where did jazz come from? The blues. Where does the blues come from? Blues scale comes from Africa. What scale do they use in Africa? They don't use a 12-tone scale in Africa. They use a pentatonic scale. If you ever play one of those thumb pianos, kalimba, that's tuned correctly to the African scale, you notice that some notes are strange sounding because it's a microtonal scale. It's the flat third, but it's not flat third. It's in between the flat third and the third, and it's in between the flat five and the five. It's in between. There's a note in between. That gives you the blues. And it is fundamental for our jazz players to know the blues. So you need to know. And trombone is very easy to play microtones. And I'm going to give you some exercises later, so watch to the end. I'll give you some exercises on how to increase the ear. Microtonal scales are not just used in the blues. They're also used in modern music, modern classical music, going back 100 years or more. Eastern music, Indian music, all the ragas, they use their quarter tones and their quarter tone inflections. Arabic scales, Turkish scales, Eastern European scales, Bulgaria, places like that. Chinese, all through Africa especially. Microtones. So you need to know microtones. You need to understand them. And if you go online, you're going to be like so confused, because especially if you're not good at math, forget about it. Don't do that. I'm going to try to make it simple. You ever hear this, the saying, KISS? Keep it short and simple. Simple is better. Okay, basic theory. 12-tone is chromatic. 12-tone scales. One of the most common microtonal scales is the 24. In other words, quarter tones in between. Okay, math. Here's a little bit of math. Each step equally tempered. You know, we go back to Bach, equal tempered clavier. Before then, nothing was equal tempered. Everything was wildness. It wasn't wildness. It was the thirds and the fifths were not the same, depending on what key you're playing. So you would have a musical instrument, a piano, wasn't a piano then, harpsichords, and you had to tune the piano for every song, for every different key you play in. So the musical instrument makers came up with the well-tempered clavier. I grew up listening. My mother was a pianist. I ended up sitting on the piano bench listening to her playing the Bach well-tempered clavier pieces. Beautiful. But, so now, pretty much Western music, everything's well-tempered. The trombone is an ancient instrument. It's not well-tempered. Has a bad temper. No, it doesn't. But anyway, which gives you the freedom to play any microtonal scale. The trombone, because it's a slide. There's 7 positions. But in between each position, you could also play like the blues, like I just played. Ba-da-da, da da da. Wait, what else is your voice, singing voice, is microtonal. Can play all that. Any stringed instrument, violin, cello, bass, viola, with no frets, can play whatever you want. Jaco Pastorius on the fretless bass invented the fretless bass, fretless electric bass. And then way before then, there was many electronic instruments experimented with. The quarter tone piano, for example, they basically took two pianos on top of each other and tuned one piano on a quarter tone different than the other. There's pieces classical written for quarter tone piano, believe it or not. And there's pieces written for quarter tone trombone quartet, because the trombone can easily play quarter tone. Any slide instrument can play quarter slide whistle. I'm going to explain a little bit more theory. Shh, don't turn it off. Keep going, because I'm going to give you some exercises that's going to make this a lot easier. What you see on the internet a lot are abbreviations for well-tempered. EDO. It means equal divisions of an octave. Okay, when you get higher numbers, it gets a little bit confusing. But we're going to start with the most simple, quarter tones, and most used quarter tones. Have whole step, you have half step, and quarter step. Wow. You think, wow, that's going to be hard to play. It's not. It's actually quite simple. So today I'm going to give you some exercises to help you to do this. Very simple. And it's KISS. I keep it short and simple. But now there's a new instrument called the Lumatone, which has layers of keys, and all the keys can be programmed in different divisions of the octave, whatever you want. 10, 15, 30, 90, whatever. You can divide up the Lumatone and play this, and you'll see, just Google on YouTube Lumatone, and you're going to hear some pretty wild stuff. Fleshly, in a 30, they call 31 EDO, which is 31 divisions of the octave. You say, what? 31 divisions? Are you crazy? No, it's not that crazy. Okay, 24 is more simple. Each half step is divided up in a percentage, 100. 100, 100, 100, all the way up. Quarter tone is half of that, 50. 50 cents. 50 cent. No, not the rapper. 50 cents. How does that relate to trombone? Well, it's very simple. Now, you've got 7 positions on a trombone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, quarter tone, you have 14 positions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, just about falls off the end of the slide. I'm going to give you some simple exercises. But first, I want you to subscribe, because I'm going to play some improvisations based on quarter tones. I've played many improvisations, and most of them have some quarter tones in them. And one of my latest ones does. I'll post it at the end above here somewhere. You click on it, and about 2 minutes in, I start using quarter tones in the improvisation. But in the future, I will do some improvisations with the themes, quarter tone based themes. So, what's the best way to think about this? Okay, you do your daily exercises going up the slide, you know, little da 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 da. Include the quarter tones. First, though, just experiment with going down the slide in quarter tones, like say starting on the B flat and going down. Why do this? Because in improvisation and music in general, it has to be in your ear. You have to be able to hear it. Also, sing it if you have difficulty. Ba, 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 ba. Sing quarter tones. I first heard someone singing this was watching a video of a guy, musician, amazing musician named Jacob Collier, and he was explaining his composition, his arrangement of Moon River. If you ever hear that. And he says, well, I shifted the whole song up like microtones to give it more brightness, more stress. Even though if you listen to it, you don't notice it, but when you get it in your ear, you can hear him moving things, quarter tones around. And he said, look, you can do as many divisions as you want. 7. He would go. He would sing. Da 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 da. See, I divide. Of course, and he has perfect pitch, but you don't have to have perfect pitch. You just have to be able to hear it. So, first thing to do, just experiment going down the 14 positions. Of course, you might go off the end, depending on your instrument. But that's no problem. Next to do, just do your daily lip slur exercises. Instead of the 7 positions, do the 14 positions. Simple. You got to get it in your ear. Now it gets a little more tricky when you get, because you know trombone is not each position is not perfect. You've got to get things in tune. You have to shift. You know, like the B is a little, and the fourth is a little bit. You need to shift it up, etc., etc. You also do have to do this in the quarter tones to make them in tune. But really, most of this microtonal, especially the one that's extremely popular right now, is called 31 EDO. Now, you go online and you see this, you see these charts and these wheels, and it's like so confusing. To me, I'm like, I read this, like, what the heck? What is this? Very simple. If you take, if you know your scales, you know a whole tone scale, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C. Or there's only two whole tone scales in 12 EDO, and then of course starting on C sharp, D sharp, F, G, A. You have 6 notes. That's 200 cents. 200 cents per whole tone. Now 31 EDO, they make all these really complicated math. It's not so simple, not so difficult. When you look at it, it's okay. 24 EDO is 4 notes per whole tone. If you go, say, go down from F. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 31 EDO is 5. It's that simple. 5. I just played 31 EDO. That's simple. Keep it simple. 31 is just 5. 6 times 5 is 30. Then, of course, you repeat the top note. You got to start on 0. You start on 1, C. So start on C makes 31 different notes. 6 times 5 is 30. Basic 3rd grade math. That's all you need. 3rd grade math to do microtones. Now, of course, any other divisions. And if you get into the theory, if you want to really get into the theory, there's 100 videos about the theory of harmonies and applying to chords and, you know, okay. But 31 EDO is pretty popular because the notes correspond into the whole tone scale, which gives you 1st, 3rd, and flat 7th, dominant 7th. You can get that dominant 7th very easily in 31 EDO. The way to develop this, the exercises, are very simple. You just include them in your regular routine. Like my long tone routine, instead of I put the quarter tone in between first. Etc., etc., till it's in your ear. Now, I've been playing microtones for, I'm not going to say how many years. When I first heard Don Ellis playing his quarter tone trumpet, there's an album, especially with Don Ellis, big band, Turkish Bath, where he plays Indian music and he plays Turkish music. Includes a lot of quarter tone music in there, but he's throughout his career, unfortunately, and until his untimely death, I was a huge fan, and when I was in college, I would start including quarter tones in my improvisations. And did people think it was weird? No, they loved it. I said, wow, that's cool. So if you want to expand your improvisations, make them more interesting to the listener, it creates tension when you start putting those quarter tones, not just the blues note, of course. I could go on and on and on. Okay, if you want to hear me, click my link there of one of my latest improvisations. Work on your ears, because quarter tones are not just a few. They've been around for 100, in classical music. Classical musicians, you need this. If you're going to play any modern 20th century music, you need to know what quarter tones are. You need to know what microtonality is. When I was in college, Dr. Dan Prolongo and his students would write music with quarter tones in them. I had to play in the orchestra. I had to play quarter tones in classical music, not just jazz. Not just Don Ellis. If you play Don Ellis charts, if you watch the very famous movie, which I don't agree with, playing a lot of Don Ellis charts, you need to know quarter tones. You need to know this. And a lot of current jazz trombone players, not just me, use quarter tones in their improvisations. And you might not even realize it. But when you train your ear to hear it, you'll hear it. And when you listen to Jacob Collier, many of his compositions have quarter tones or microtonal displacements and microtonal harmonies, and not 24 EDO. He uses not just harmonies. He uses different to tune the harmonies vocally, because he's a vocalist. He's not a pianist. He's actually trained vocalist, so he knows he can sing quarter tones. He knows in a choir, when you have an unaccompanied choir, to tune those notes flatly sharp to get them. And also, wait a minute, who else sings and plays? I do. Multiphonics. I won't do this, but multiphonics, it's very important to be able to hear the microtones, to get those multiphonics to resonate and hear all the pitches. So, okay, get to the woodshed, work on your quarter tones, and let me know in the comments how you're doing and if you agree with me. So, peace out. Listen to my improvisations with quarter tones. Ciao.